BeastNet podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
That was hard.
We can get going on this. It's always a fun. I hate technology sometimes. It's supposed to make life easier, but you know how it is. I mean, I miss the good old days where we just meet in a coffee shop and talk.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just go ahead and talk. You've got your race coming up, and let the listeners know who is Hubie. Let everyone know who you are.
Oh, Hubie, my real name is Hubert, but I was born in Boston, moved with my family to Ohio when I was 6 months old, and I've spent my whole life in Ohio. I'm retired, 65 years old, and just doing what I enjoy, enjoying life.
That's good. That's good. So I know you have a race coming up. So what is your race called and when is it?
The race is Indian Mud Run, and it's always a Saturday after Father's Day, which this year will be June 26th.
Okay.
Our race is a fundraiser for our local parks. And what we did is they had a levee failure a few years back, and I had just done my first OCR, which was a Warrior Dash.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to think of something we could do to raise money for our local parks. So we thought, you know what, that Warrior Dash is fun. Let's do our own. And I never dreamed it would grow to what it's become.
I love the local races. So because it's so cool to see, people come together locally and take care of some, help people out. So what kind of race is it? I know you say, of course, an OCR, but what kind of obstacles and stuff do people get to do out there?
Well, it started out as a mud run because that was something I kind of took from the Warrior Dash. But I'm a very competitive person, and I like the harder obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
When it's my race, get in. And as our race grew, we found out it was a very challenging race. And like this year, we're up to close to 90 obstacles. And a lot of the obstacles that we use are obstacles you'll see in the World Championship. As a matter of fact, when World Championship first came around in Ohio, I was one of the volunteer builders. And in talking to different race directors, I got permission from them to use some of their obstacles. And that's something I've tried to do, is get obstacles that people are going to see in the World Championships so that they can use my race as a way to practice for that. And it's really taken off. And a lot of people use this race to get ready for the championships at the end of the year.
Nice. That's awesome. So you said it benefits the parks in your area?
Yes. Yeah, we're a nonprofit, and so everything we do goes back to our park system. The nice thing about being a nonprofit is because it's community work, I can go down to the local sheriff's office and I get trustees from the jail system. And I bring them out there and they do the work, trail cleanup and set up obstacles and things like that. But in the last couple of years with COVID, they haven't been able to let anybody out. So
Yes.
This year has been really tough for us. We just don't have the manpower to get everything set up. On the flip side, is manpower for volunteers is probably our best year, because the National Guard is involved in our race, and they've committed almost 90 National Guardsmen to be out on course, marshaling obstacles and things like that.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it's really neat to get the backing like that, to be able to do where, one kind of falls through, then you got the National Guard coming out to back you up and help you do it. I mean, that's pretty cool.
They started back in 2019, our last race.
Oh, nice.
But they only had about 30 they only had about 30 then. They're about 3 times as big this time.
Wow.
So it's been a huge help for us.
That's awesome. So you said it's on the 26th. So what can people expect? Is there, you know, an elite heat or anything like that, or is it just everybody just goes?
Yeah, we start out with the elite heats, and because of some problems with all our volunteers, we're not going to start our elite wave until 9 a.m. Mm-hmm. So we pushed everything back a little bit to give us time. We have so many things we have to do different this year because of COVID. Our local health department's requiring different things, check-ins before they go up on the hill. But we'll start out with elite men, and we're well over 60. And then we'll go to elite women about 5 minutes after the men are gone. And we're supposed to stagger them a little bit because of COVID, but I've already been told that June 2nd, they're going to lift all the restrictions. So we may be able to go back to normal with the June 2nd lifting of restrictions. Then after the elite go, we're going to go to age competitive. And we do our age competitive much like the OCR World Championships. If you're in, like me, 60 and older, you go with your group. So we'll start out, I believe it's the 35, 39 first, the faster groups first, and then we go like that by age group. And so that's pretty unique compared to most races. You race with the guys you're competing against. Nice. Then after all the competitives, then we go to open 10K, which really is about a 7-mile race, and then open 5K. And then we also have a kids course. So we're pretty excited about things. I was looking the other day, and I don't know, because I know so many of the older guys, we've already got close to 60 men that are 50 or older.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we got a lot of old guys. But you look at the younger groups, we've only got about 5 U20 girls. So it's cool to see all the older guys out there. I wish we could get more of the younger people involved. For some reason, it seems to be when they get into their 30s, they miss the school sports and they get back into it. I don't know what it is, but we have a hard time filling up our under 20 age groups.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, you don't see as many people that age running and doing a lot of this stuff anymore. So.
How old are you?
I'm 43, so and I just got back into it.
That's actually 43 is a tough age group. There's some really good athletes, you know, late 30s, early 40s, really top-notch athletes out there.
Yeah, there are. It really, at a lot of ones we've seen, it seems to be the tough age group is they're like 40 to 45.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll see a lot of top placers in that age group. Yeah. And that's another thing we do. And we've been so busy, I haven't been able to advertise it very much. But last race in 2019, we started a team race. And we do ours a little bit different. In our team race, if you finish first in your age group, you get 1 point first. Second, 2 points, third, 3, all the way down to 30th or whatever. Then we take the top 7 athletes on your team roster as far as low score, which would be first, second, third, whatever. And we do it like a golf score. Low score wins. And so that really was nice last year. Your team might have a whole bunch of guys in the 30 and 40 age group that place, but another team might have people from the 30s all the way up to the 60s, and they get a lot of firsts as opposed to second and thirds, and they'll win it. In 2019, Get It United out of Florida was our winning team, and they had a lot of older guys on their team, but the older guys on their team were all first or second. So that was a unique race last year, and I think people like that. And I'm excited to do that again this year.
That's a cool idea. It's cool. I've been on a lot of them where, you know, you get all the people that have the teams, and in some races, the teams, it's a really cool things, and other times it's like, you know, where some races I've been to where, you know, the team, they get like awards for biggest team or something like that. But having something like that where the team can actually win, you know, is pretty cool. I mean, I did one last year where it was actually a team event, and we actually had to do a lot of the obstacles as a team. And a lot of things that you had to do as a team and do so many reps. And depending on how many people you had in your team, you could have less reps because there was, you know, you just had to do, you know, 100, you know, between the team. And if you had 4 people, you know, it's 25 apiece. But if you only have 3, you know, it changes things. So.
Yeah, our team, like I said, was Get It United. And with them being the winning team, our competition this year is the Get It United Team Challenge. So we name it after the winner of the previous race. And then on our signature obstacle, floating walls, their logo will be on our finish line obstacle.
Oh, it's awesome. So what kind of obstacles? I know you said, you know, a lot of that you'll see at the World Championships. Is there any that you have that are specific to you?
Obviously, our signature obstacle is floating walls. It's been at the North American and World Championships in Canada, and it's been in Texas and all around. It's a pretty massive obstacle, about 20 feet high. It's got a cargo or safety net at 10 feet. So if you fall off the top, you fall onto a safety net. That's our signature obstacle. Also, in working with Nuclear Race out of London, I got permission to use Nuclear Ninja. That's our race. We've got Gibbons, which is our in the World Championships. And we keep trying to, Dragons Back, we keep trying to add, like I say, things that you'll see in the World Championships. We have our own version of Skull Valley, we call Indian Valley because it's got Indian heads instead of skull heads.
Mm-hmm.
We another thing that's going to be new with us this year, we have 7 or 8 obstacles that are high fail obstacles. And in our race, you can fail up to 5 obstacles and still place. If you're the fastest person in your age group, but you fail 1 obstacle, the slowest person in your age group, if he's the only one that didn't fail, he'll be placed first. So we go by fails before time. And new this year, our timer has been working this past couple of years on a system where all the racers will have a barcode. If you fail an obstacle, they'll scan your barcode as you get through the obstacle as a fail, and then you move on, and then it automatically is transferred over the phone lines or whatever. He's got it set up. I don't know how it is, but it automatically goes right to the finish line and shows your fails. So when you get to the finish line, you'll know if you were 1 or 2 fails and where everybody else is that finished above you. And that's something that I don't think any race has. So
that's kind of neat. Because that's one thing that I've had this argument with people a lot is, I've done a lot of different OCRs, and I've always had the feeling that if you're competitive, that it shouldn't be penalties. There shouldn't be penalties. It should be past the obstacle. Because I've seen way too many times where I've watched where they focus on their speed because they know if they get a penalty, they can do the penalty, and then their speed will catch up to the guy that's able to do the obstacle. So if you make it so they have to pass the obstacle, or it's going to dock them points or whatever, or like in your case where it's like you may be the fastest one out there, but you failed 3 obstacles, and then I come up behind you and I'm a couple minutes slower, but I passed them all and I have a chance of beating you because of that. That changes everyone's way of working out and getting ready for it. So because I train so that I can win, or not win, but I can complete every obstacle. So that's my goal. Is for me, I know I'm not the fastest. I'm not built for speed, but I basically, I train so that I can complete the obstacles, because that's the challenge for me.
Yeah. And that's exactly the way we feel at Indian Mud Run. It's an obstacle race. It's not a running race. And if you're going to win our race, you've got to be obstacle proficient, because we got about 90 of them, and you'll feel it at the end.
The way it should be. So, because I mean, it's, because like I said, I've done a few. I was crazy. I did one, the Montana Spartan. I did all three races with a 20-pound ruck just to make it a little more difficult. But that was my insanity at the beginning of this month. So,
yeah, I was good in Spartan because I don't like burpees, and there's a lot of fast people out there that, they can fail an obstacle and do a burpee. I might not fail it, but they're much faster runners than me.
Yeah. And like I said, that's where I've had where my biggest issue on some of those is it's like, just because you're faster doesn't make you technically a better athlete. It's like you see people train for different things. I've watched friends that train just for heavy lifting, and you're like, come on, do a race with me, and they take like 50 steps and they're half dead because they have no cardio because they just lift. Where a lot of these races like yours, I mean, if you do it the way you're talking about, you can't focus. You have to focus on your entire body and your whole training regimen, because you have to be able to run at least a little bit, but at the same time, be able to lift, be able to hold yourself up, be able to climb and all that stuff. Where, like I said, on a lot of these, if I can find a way to, if I can do burpees fast enough or do whatever penalty, depending on the race, I could still win.
Yep. And I'm a band over burpees guy. If you do all the obstacles, you're going to place ahead of the guy that failed an obstacle. That's the way it should be, in my opinion. And that's the way we do it at Indian Mud Run.
I like that. I really do. I like that a lot, because it's kind of one of those, because like I said, that's one of the things I've watched races where it's like you could tell who was the better athlete, but they lost because somebody else was faster.
Yeah.
We're
definitely on the same page here.
So I like the manual completion, because it makes people train for everything, because if I can train just to be faster.
But another thing, I don't, people have asked me, I don't do a separate lane for the, maybe the non-pros or anything. I want everybody to be challenged 100%. I want the pros to be challenged and the age competitive. And if you can't do it, you can fail up to 5 obstacles and still podium at our race. And we'll have some of the age groups, especially maybe in the women, where everybody will have a failure, but you might have one person that failed 1 obstacle and everybody else failed 2. And that person may not have been the fastest, but they were the most obstacle proficient, and they're the champion.
So yeah, like I said, I like that. I mean, I get the idea of speed in some cases, but that's never been my feeling of obstacle course racing. I'm an endurance guy. I can go, I've done races that took me 12 hours, but I just plod my way right through it. So I'm not always the fastest, but I will train to be able to do the obstacles. I've lost a lot of weight over the last year, and a lot of that was, to be able to do some of those obstacles where I can do, I've always had problems with the rope climb. I haven't failed it on one yet this year. I can get the rope climb. I can do all those things that I couldn't before, because my goal was to be able to do the obstacles.
I did Savage Race a couple weeks ago, and I lost my first band. So I think that year off of COVID from racing kind of got me soft. So I got to get my training up again. And that opened my eyes.
Yeah, see, I haven't done. I've wanted to do, and that's actually my goal is next year, as things open back up and all that stuff. My goal is next year I want to hit some Savage. I want to do some of those other races, Bone Frog, the ones that don't come to the West Coast, because I live on the West Coast for now. Yeah. We're looking.
Savage is one of the best out there.
And that's what run by
people too.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, for right now, I live on the West Coast, but who knows? In another year or so, that might be a different story. So, because I might be getting tired of the West Coast.
I'll be out your way this November.
Nice.
Gonna be doing a marathon out there, Big Bear Marathon or what?
Oh yeah, down in California. I'm doing one in June. That's actually it's considered one of the fastest like Boston qualifiers because it's like 2,000 feet downhill the entire race. You start at the top of Snoqualmie Pass and run all the way down the hill. But it's just I've done it before where it's just a decline and it doesn't hurt the knees. But you're going downhill.
Running downhill is hard on your quads. Yeah. Really hard.
So it's gonna be interesting. So I've done it once before, but I was 285 pounds when I did it last time, and I'm 100, and I took 8 hours. I'm 194 right now. So I'm hoping my goal is less than 6. So
good for you.
So it's gonna be interesting. I'm doing that. Then I got my first triathlon. So I'm moving into some other things, and I definitely want to do some of these OCRs. And like I said, I want to get to my goal in 2022 is to hit the East Coast and hit it hard. I want to go out, I want to go out to Ohio and go to your race. I want to get down into, Florida, all those places.
We have quite a few people from California and up around Seattle that make it out to our race. A lot of people from Texas too. So.
See, and I would love to. It's traveling right now. We already have a bunch planned because of all the stuff that got canceled last year. So I definitely want to get out to Ohio. I have some family that's from Ohio, but they came out here for some reason.
Well, our health department did limit us this year. Mm-hmm. Originally to 900, now we're limited to 1,000. We'll probably sell out. We're at 940 or something now with a month to go. So
wow,
we'll sell out.
That's
but I
awesome.
wish there's so many people though that were going to come that aren't coming because of COVID restrictions and things like that. So 2022 ought to be a huge year for us.
Yeah. So because I'm guessing you probably didn't have a race last year in 2020.
No, we didn't.
We as a nonprofit, a small nonprofit. I mean, how did COVID really hit you? I mean, especially with like having to limit everything and all that this year. I mean, has it had a huge impact?
Is it what?
Has it had a huge impact?
With us being a nonprofit and like I mentioned earlier, not having jail help, it's been really, really tough. Really, really tough. I'm having a hard time getting volunteers to set up the course. But I might not have my 90 obstacles I wanted, but I will have at least 85. And I'm still have a goal in 2022 to have 100 obstacles. That's always been my goal.
It's a lot of obstacles, which is awesome.
We do also have a 3-lap race. We have so many people from out of state that come to our race that, they travel so far and they don't want to just do 7 miles. They want to get more racing in. So we allow them to do, after the age competitive go out, we allow them to go out for 2 more laps. The pro or age competitive can go out. And if they get 3 laps in, they get an authentic American Indian made arrow. In the past 3 years we've done this, only about 35% of the people that signed up have been able to earn their arrow. We have a very technical trail system that's got a lot of elevation gain. And after that first lap, which is usually a competitive race, those last 2 laps are hard. Seems like people go out for the second lap, and then they head to the beer garden and they say, the heck with lap 3. But yeah, it's amazing that only about 35% of the people complete it. We're hoping in 2022, right before the elites go out, we're going to do a small 3-lap race where we're going to check obstacles and, obstacle completion fails and things like that for 3 laps. And I'm hoping to get a sponsor to put up some prize money for that.
That's awesome. So that's cool. I mean, it's neat to see, especially a small, local race growing so big and so quick. I mean, that's awesome to see, that you're getting that much backing. I've seen a few in this area try to start, but I mean, that really sucks to say this, but COVID really took a couple of the ones that I really liked in the Washington area, took them out because, I mean, our state shut down pretty hard.
Yeah.
I know a lot of other states did too, but I mean, West Coast, we shut down hard. And I mean, it shut down even now. I mean, there's a lot of them that don't want to, not to sound bad, they don't want to try starting because everything keeps going backwards. So they're afraid to, yeah.
We are getting back up, but we're still under restrictions.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough. But definitely if you make it out in 2022, you'll have to try the 3-lap.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to have to go for that.
You're an endurance guy. That's right up your alley.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go for those. So it's kind of one of those that I've been working on speed, but at the same time, it's like me and a buddy were talking the other day. It's like, I'm just not built for speed. I mean, even at my leanest, I'm 195 and that's about right. When I went down below that, I looked like I was, a cancer patient. So I need to get some way back. I went too skinny. So yeah. All right.
I'll show you also, I don't know how well you can see this. This is our medal for this year.
That's awesome.
And pretty good size. But what we love about our awards, we don't get anything made overseas, nothing made in China. Mm-hmm. These are made right in our hometown. Our tomahawks for first, second, and third place, age competitive, are made by Native American Indians. Our arrows for the 3 laps are made by Native American Indians. They've all got a letter from the artisan that made them. We did have spears for our top pros. The guy that makes our spears cannot make them this year. I think he may have gotten really sick or something, but he's no longer making them. And I can't get anybody to make any spears or bow and arrows, which is my second option. So we're going with about 24-inch plaque type thing and a tomahawk for our pros. And our pros will be top 5.
Nice.
But yeah, we're awesome. proud of the fact that everything we award is made in America. We even have one of the oldest flag factories in the nation here in Coshocton, and they last year donated American flags for all the winners in the pro division. So we got some really cool awards that we're giving out.
So that's awesome. That's one of the things that it's, I mean, not to sound bad, but a lot of times I've done some races and it's like, okay, the medal, they're okay. And you just, throw them with the rest of them. I've got a wall of medals that I hang up in the other room. And after a while, I was talking to a friend, I'm like, most of them don't mean a whole lot. They mean the same medal every year, or the same, you do the same brand of race. It's the same medals you got, in Seattle as you get in, Idaho. I mean, it really doesn't matter. So it's like, but for me, it's the memories. So, I mean, but it is cool to have, I mean, look at your medal. That's nice. It looks like, it was like laser cut.
Yeah.
Chunk of metal and that. I mean, that's pretty cool looking. So.
Another cool thing we do that I don't know of any other race that does, our finisher shirt, we put the previous year's finishers top 10 or 15, depending on how it pans out as far as size wise. Mm-hmm. But we put your name, if you're a top placer in your age group, your name's on our finisher shirt the following year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. The top pros, you have to be in pro or age competitive to get your name on a shirt. So that's something that's pretty unique. And actually, I'm kind of surprised other races haven't stole that from us already. So it's a copycat sport.
It is a copycat sport. I mean, it's one of those things. The only time I've seen something like that is, I know I mentioned Spartan before, but that's one that I've done a lot of races with them. Is they'll do the trifecta At least they used to. But they don't do it anymore. Not that I've seen in the last 2 years, but they used to do when they were smaller. They do every year. They do a towel or a flag that would have all the people who earned a trifecta their name on it. So
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, they did that for a while, but it was one of those. It always bugged me because mine always seemed to be it was in a spot that was hard to read, so I never bought it. So I mean, that's awesome to have something like that where people, continue to, have your name the next year to show what you did. I mean, that's awesome.
Does your business need first aid, AED, OSHA, flagging, or other safety training? James Safety Services is your one-stop shop. Find them on Facebook today at James Safety Services WA and ask for a quote on hosting your training needs.
Something else that a lot of people may not know, but Coach Payne, I don't know if you know who that is.
Sounds familiar.
Dwayne Montgomery, he's a motivational guy he's done a lot of the OCR World Championship speakers, but he'll be at our race. Last year, Monster was one of our sponsors, and Smith's Dairy, our local dairy. So you get a free energy drink, a free beer, or free chocolate milk, or all three at the finish line.
I gotta go through all three.
Cover all the cool stuff.
Got to drink the milk first, though, because
I like the milk, but I'll tell you what, after a hot day, a cold beer tastes pretty good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Oh, see, that's one thing that's always funny is everyone I know, a lot of the races I've done, they always give out the free beers, and very rarely have I actually gotten the free beer because usually I'm just so destroyed after a race. And this year has been the only year I've really done it because I'm now in the shape where I can finish quick enough and I'm not destroyed at the end of a race. So it's like, oh, I can tell now that I'm in better shape. I'm not, completely feel like I've been hit by a truck when I cross the finish line. So, yeah.
Good for you. What got you into obstacle course racing?
It was a friend. Years and years ago, a friend got me to, it was the rock and whatever, the gladiator rock and whatever. I did that one years ago, and then I did a friend of mine was doing Spartan races, and I went and I volunteered at one because I couldn't race because I had 18 stitches in my hand, so I couldn't race. But I went and volunteered and got a free race, and then after that I fell in love with it. I was never a runner as a kid, but I'd started to become a runner at that point. But then I was getting bored with it. I mean, you run for 3 hours and you just nothing. You're just running, and then it became the obstacle course became that difference because all of a sudden I run and then I do something else, and then I run some more, I do something else, and that's what I loved about obstacle course racing. It changed things up. So
and I love asking people that question because almost to a T, everybody that says how they got in, well, someone told them or they did it on a whim. But once you do one, people seem to get hooked on it. And so hopefully we can get more people, more first timers involved in this wonderful sport.
Oh, it's a great sport. Last year, not being able to do it saved me is I don't know if you've ever heard of Battle Mile.
No.
But they're virtual challenges. And that's what saved me for the year. So it was a lot of crazy, like I'm going to do one probably after we finish here, the Memorial Day one. I've got to go run 5K with a 20-pound vest and stop in the first mile and do 100 push-ups. And the second mile, do 200 burpees. And then the third mile, I think it's 300 squats with the vest. And I mean, so it's not that an obstacle course race yet, but it's something that gives me that middle challenges that kind of keeps you, keeps my mind doing something rather than just the monotony of running.
With obstacle racing, like I said, you seem to get people out there that get involved in it and stay involved. But I don't know what we have to do as a community to get more younger kids. It seems like the younger kids don't want to get involved in it.
I don't know. I've wondered that too. It's been one of those things. My son's done quite a few with me, but getting his friends to do it, they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But really what got my son to do it was I broke my foot about 4 years ago, and he took my spot in like 4 races, where it was like, it was, I transferred to his name, but it was like, here, I have these races that I can't do now because my foot's broke. Here, you do them. And then he just started loving it. And then he started doing it with me once I was healed. But, it's kind of one of those. But yeah, getting any of his friends are like, yeah, no, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Now, is he still running them?
He hasn't since COVID. I mean, COVID hit. He's hasn't done any since it's kind of lifted. So I'm trying to get him to do some more, but I don't know. He hasn't been doing a whole lot of exercise during COVID, except for his thumbs playing video games. So. But I can't say much. I'm usually sitting next to him playing the video games. So.
Well, hopefully they'll be like the guys when they get into their 30s and 40s and they start missing sports from school and their younger years, and they realize they're getting out of shape and life's short. And that seems to be how so many people get involved. And to me, it's the people that I meet in obstacle racing is the real bonus.
Yeah.
As far as my race, I'm a carpenter. I love to build things. I love my community, and I love to compete. So putting on my race is 3 of the things I love to do in life, all wrapped up in one. So it's been awesome for me.
That is awesome.
I spend way too many hours out on the course doing things because I can't get volunteers, and but it's a labor of love.
See, and that's what's good. You got to love what you do. I mean, that was one of the things for me. Is like I started running and doing the obstacle course races, and really what changed me and had me start like losing weight was, I did a race and I finished, but I didn't feel right afterwards. It was like I wasn't in the right shape. It was way too much work. I'm like, I'd always been a little slower than everyone else, but usually there was someone with me in the group that was like, I was helping get through. And this time I'm like, I'm that person. I'm the one that everyone's waiting for. And I'm like, something needs to change. And that's when I changed. And now I've got a lot of friends that are like, oh, you're faster than us now. And I'm like, I am in a lot of ways, but that doesn't mean I'm going to leave you behind, because that's one thing obstacle courses, shown me family. I mean, my obstacle course racing family, I'm closer to than my real family now, and so when we do a race, if I say I'm staying with you, I don't care if we're out there for 13 hours, I'm staying with you and we're finishing this race. So I've actually had one of my friends be like, I'm done, I can't keep going. I'm like, cool, then I guess we're going to sit here and wait for them to come pick us up. And she's like, what do you mean we? I'm like, I said we were going to finish this race, so if you're quitting, I'm quitting. And she's like, well, okay, fine, I guess we better keep going then. I'm like, all right, let's go, let's do this. And it's once I say I'm doing it with friends, we're doing it. That's what I love about this sport is it's a lot of family.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Well, all right, is there anything else you want to say to the listeners while we got you? Or?
Well, I thought I had a list of things I wanted to touch on, but I don't know what I did with it.
You're like me, I write lists like that all the time, and then when I need it, I'm like, what did I do with that list? I need to find a list. Tell me where I put the list.
Yeah, I'll find it after we get off. But with me, it's just that, I've been retired for 5 years, and I'm busier now than I ever was. But this year,
it should be.
Yeah, but I'm doing what I love, so that's the important thing. But COVID really has hit me hard this year because even a lot of our volunteers for race day, a lot of them were older people that don't race. They just came to help. Well, they're not coming out and being around people traveling because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I know COVID has hurt OCR races across the board. A lot of them are struggling, I know, some of the smaller ones. And I hope everybody gets out and supports the small mom and pop races. I hate to see them go under. I know of quite a few that have gone under the last couple of years.
Yeah, and that is one of those things I don't want to see. I want to see some of these keep going. There's a couple really good ones we have up here in Seattle. So anybody who's listening, if you're on the East Coast, get out to Ohio. If you're in Seattle, get to some of these closer Seattle races or fly to Ohio. I mean, if there's any reason, which I've never found a reason to go to Ohio until today. So
in 19, we had people from 40 states, 2 Canadian provinces, and Europe come to our race.
See, and that's, like I said, if there's
Yeah,
any
maybe
ever reason to go to Ohio, that's it.
And another thing that anybody going to the World Championships in Vermont this year, the OCR World Championships, in London in 19, every person from America, there were 5 gold medal winners. Every gold medal winner and a few of the second and thirds all raced at Indian Mud Run. And they've all told me that this race is the race they use to prepare for World Championships.
And that's awesome. So, and it does sound like I'm going to be a good one to prepare because it really shows you where you're lacking. And that was kind of one of the things, every year, the first race of the year for me is always, where am I lacking? What do I need to work on? And that's kind of, what I had, this year when I first did it. I'm like, I did the first races. I never raced competitive. And this year I raced competitive my first 2 races because everyone's like, why? I'm like, because I need to see what I need to work on.
Yeah.
And this is my chance.
Keep challenging yourself.
Yeah. Keep challenging yourself, keep making myself better. And that's what's OCR and all this stuff's all about. So
that's what life is about.
Yep.
You can't be content.
Nope. All right, perfect. Well, if you don't have anything else, it's been great talking to you. I'm really looking forward. I think 2022, I've definitely got to get out there and doing your race. And like I said, any listeners, anybody watching this, get out to the race. It sounds like it's going to be a fun one. And I want to hear back from somebody who went and tell me how this went.
Well, I hope you do make it in 2022. And if people are wanting to know a little bit more about our race, another thing I'm extremely proud of is the reviews we get independent on Mud Run Guide. If you go to Mud Run Guide and look up their reviews for Indian Mud Run, I'm really proud of what people have to say about our race. And the fact that we draw people from all over the United States, Canada, and Europe says we're doing something right. So we've got a great crew, and I'm really proud of everybody that helps me put on this race.
That's awesome. And Mud Run Guides are good. I like Mud Run Guide. They're good. They're good people.
Yep, they are.
All right.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in next year.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you, Hubie. Hubie, it's been great meeting you, and I'll hope to see you next year.
All right, great. Thanks for talking with me.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.